Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. My co-host, Tina Bird's in the background. We'll let her say hi in a second. There's a lot going on. We're going to get into the whole UFO thing and everything else and crop circles. And then I want to go into the government a little bit at the end. So I'm going to give it to Tina to introduce herself and say hi and tell her what's going on.
Hi everybody, I'm Tina Bird here in the UK in Southampton, and you can find me on Hive, Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials. I run a blog and a little Facebook page. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, but you find me in Tina Bird on Facebook. And as somebody said, we'll be getting into it this week. Over to you, Tommy. Hello.
All right, I told everybody last week I was going to start doing a show, but I'm not going to do the show anymore. I found out the person involved with it really didn't want to expose the truth. And you know me, the only thing I can talk about is the truth, that as much as I know it in every way. So that when we're going to get into this, I'll let Tina talk, because she's one of the few people that I totally trust as far as what she did, what she experienced, what she's going through, and what's happening over where she lives right now. But there's a lot going on here. I went out last night because the meteor showers were supposed to be over us, but we got tons of clouds. I went out there for about 5 minutes, and I saw 3 ships, and they were all crisscrossing. So then I went in my house, I looked out the window, and this bright ball of white light came shooting down. I mean, it almost looked like it hit like around the corner from my house. It was so bright, so big. But I didn't see any other shooting stars or anything after that. I didn't stay out because it was cloudy, but I kept looking out my window. I got my window set up so I could see pretty much one part of the sky at least. But in the UFO world, it's growing. And what I wanted to say, I have a couple lasers. And when you're dealing with UFOs, for some reason, they interact when you use lights. There was a person on the internet talking about how he talks to UFOs, and he uses lights as well. So I have a book out, UFO, How to See UFOs Field Manual. Anybody wants it, I'll send it to them as a PDF file. It'll help you see it if you want to see a UFO, what to do, how to go about it, what you should be thinking about, what you should not be thinking about, and the whole aspect around it. It's about 200 pages, and I'm giving it away because I want people to see UFOs if they want to see a UFO. But as far as right now, we got a lot of problems in the United States with this virus. I mean, it's affecting the world as well. It's taking attention off of everything else that's important. Never mind, we have 2 parties with our election coming up in 2 months. Everybody's fighting with everybody. Everybody's attacking everybody. It's horrible. I said, these people, I'm going to do a show. That's why I just want to talk a little bit about it later, about why, if you're going to promote yourself, promote yourself. You don't have to attack everybody else and just attack them. Tell us what you're going to do. I mean, if you're going to do something for us, tell us. You don't have to tell us what somebody else is not going to do for us. But with that being said, we're going to start with the UFO thing. I'm going to give it back to you, Tina. Tell them about what's happening around you right now.
Hi guys. Firstly, I apologise for being in the dark and sweating profusely. At the moment, it's between 33 and 35 degrees outside. It's a little bit hotter here in my little cubby hole. So I've had to switch the lights off and put a fan on. So if you hear a buzzing in the background, it's my fan keeping me cool. So this week in Southern England, on Facebook as well, you can look it up on, I think it's Southern Counties or Southern England crop circles. And I've noticed more and more increasingly an explosion, if you will, in this last 30 days of the crop circles in Southern England. They're across the map, they've exploded everywhere. From Swindon all the way down to Hampshire in Southampton, where I am. Crop circles right across the country, mainly based around Stonehenge, but there's loads not far from where I live. So I went to one in Hackpen Hill and not far from Swindon. That was formed on the 22nd of July. And I took my Geiger counter up there and my friend, and we made a video up there, and we had a look. We walked around the whole crop circle, and they take videos from the air, drones, and there's obviously helicopters and planes flying over. But in this crop circle, I took my my Geiger counter, and the readings were 0.28. As we went in, there were 0.7 to 0.10. Near the middle, different parts of it seemed to be fluctuating up and down in the air, or just near the corn stems, was 0.28. So I laid on the floor in the middle of the crop circle, got up. I passed my friend the Geiger counter, and it went schizo, started beeping and everything. And as she turned around and waved it at me, it went 0.36 microteslas. So not only human beings and crop circles are not supposed to give off radiation, but it's actually reading microteslas, which is a radiation. So the crop circle fluctuating throughout the crop circles, different readings, but the crop circles emulating radiation readings, which was picked up by my Geiger counter. I sent Tommy the pictures because they're a bit bright because of my computer screen. You can't quite see the readings, but I sent the readings to Tommy, and my friend was there when we took those pictures. But that was just one. It's a very complicated formation at Hatpen Hill in southern England. There's loads in Hampshire, Wiltshire, Dorset, all around Stonehenge, Salisbury Plain. There's a military base up there. So there is lots going on. There's been lots of objects in the sky. I'm not sure if I've got it's a clear enough picture for you guys to see. I've just shown Tommy, but there's been lots of objects in the sky, lots of stuff floating about. They're saying this asteroid was supposed to float by and miss us and what have you. But the last few nights I've been out, and when I've come in, it's been fine. But my neighbours across the road said for about a week last week and this week that there's been somebody flying black drones in the evening at night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, over and around my house and around the area where I live. So that, I don't know if you can see that, guys. You see the moon at the top of my house. See that object right there? Oh, sorry, go that way. See that object right there? So that is actually between the moon and where I live. So and I thought that was a meteor or asteroid they were on about this week. There's been other things and objects in the sky flying about quite close, and things that have been bright in the sky. But with the explosion of the crop circles this year, it's been absolutely phenomenal. It's been really sparked a lot of talk off, and it's not being covered enough. Farmers lose so much money because of these crop circles and the radiation in the crop circles. They mow them down so they could sell their wheat and things like that. I don't think they're supposed to be doing that, but because they're everywhere. Everywhere you're turning, there's just crop circles blowing up. They're so huge and very complicated. They're not man-made, and there's certainly people that walk about with bags of radiation, just sprinkling radiation everywhere either. So it's definitely going on. It's happening right now in southern England. So if you're here on a trip, or you're visiting someone, or you know someone has a camera in southern England, tell them to go out. Look on YouTube. There's loads of drone footage from the local crop circle people that put YouTube footage up of crop circles in southern England. Check that out, guys. Tommy.
Well, you know, I was just talking to Tina about, like, can they fly over our house with drones if they want to? I'm pretty sure they can do whatever they want. Do we have the right to shoot them down when they're over our house or not? That's a different story. But she's on the watch, and I know that by what she says every week and what's happening to her. I mean, you have to realize the aliens watch her and the government watches her. So she's surrounded by both parties. Now, I just want to say, I just did an interview with Michael Horn. I don't know if you know who Michael Horn is. He's a spokesperson for Billy Myers. Billy Myers is one of the most famous people in the UFO world. But Michael Horn chose to become a speaker for him by himself, which he did. And he promotes everything he does, says, and everything else. I'm challenging him about a lot of things that I wanted him to prove, at least, that he was out there with Billy Myers, which he still didn't do. But he was talking about all the pictures Billy Myers shot are real. And I said, no, they're not. And if you go online, he claimed he shot all these pictures of ships from other ships. It's been proven in detail. Every picture he put up was a picture NASA shot years before. And what he does, he takes pictures of pictures in black and white, and then he says he shot them. I guess he's a little bit senile as far as thinking people can figure out that they're not his. And then he takes pictures of people and said that they're aliens as well. So there's a lot of things he's been doing are contradictory. Now, if anybody looks at pictures of UFOs, check out his site of these ships he shot. All his UFO ships are going around circles around a tree. I don't think anybody else on this planet shot a picture of a ship just going around circles around a tree. I mean, I think they would have better things to do, more important things to do, and fly through the universe, come here and circle around a tree. so somebody can take a picture of you circling around the tree. They never landed. He didn't get a picture of the ship landed. He didn't get a picture of him getting on the ship, getting off the ship, being near the ship. So a lot of his stuff is a little bit pathetic. Not saying that he wasn't on a ship. I'm not going to take that away from him, because a friend of mine who died was actually on their ships. He actually got taught and given devices that he made, like nuclear reactors and all that kind of stuff, and he sells it. Paradigm. He died. He was killed after he did a show with Jesse Ventura a couple years ago, and he worked for the government. So when Billy Myers, I talked to him about it. I said he was on his ship. He goes, no, he wasn't. He's saying everything he shot was fake. And I said, this person died, and you're going to still try to attack him? So anybody out there, if you're following Billy Idol, he has a Billy Myers. He has a cult group here in Hawaii. They do Oscar, and then they listen and dance around with the music from the ship and everything like that. So he's got multiple cult groups following him, and he's got a religion. Now, something that people really need to look at. He claims to be the seventh incarnation of Jesus and Muhammad. All right. Anybody claims that, please prove it any which way. He's a prophet. He makes a lot of prophecies, but the aliens are giving it to him as well. So I don't consider him any kind of spiritual being. I listened to his stuff he put up, but all I'm saying is for because people are following people because they sound good or it looks interesting. UFO pictures are easy to duplicate. And if you're going to follow them, understand them, know the person that shot him. If you do, then it's different. I know Tina. She told me she shot this over her house. So she has no reason to make it up or exaggerate it to me at all. And people that go online and say they shot the ship and it's a beautiful, clear picture of a ship, please prove it. Give the date, time, where. And if it's a big ship and it's clear, I guarantee other people saw it. If it's during the day, other people saw it. There was a video up online where this ship's going over and the alien gets out and they're all at this party. The one guy walks over to the alien and the alien's walking over to him and then just disappears. And like these people aren't looking at the ship or the alien. They're all partying. Obviously, these people don't think or take everything into consideration when they try to dupe a picture. You can dupe a picture of a satellite or UFO, but I'm not at a point where I want to do that. Tina's not in a place where she needs to do that. Somebody trying to make money off of pictures, yeah, maybe. But I'm not, she's not. And like I said, we're here to bring truth out, not stories, fantasies. What's happening over where she lives, these crop circles, it's incredible. All these crop circles made in the past couple of weeks. And obviously, nobody was walking around with a piece of wood on their feet and stamping it down like they showed the originals.
Or carrying a bag of radiation around with them.
And dump it on the ground and make it all radioactive. I doubt that. That guy wouldn't be around too long if that's what they were trying to do. So the scenario is, when I first met Tina, I said she needs a Geiger counter. She needs to see if she's radioactive, which she is. So people won't admit that. Like when I knew, and here's one last story, and I'll get back to Tina. John Ford, he's in the nut house in Long Island. He shot the best video of a ship crashing in Long Island. I saw it. He had a Geiger counter because he would go out there and measure the ground to see how radioactive it is and things like that. He had a little piece of radiation stuff that he would test the Geiger counter with. When they arrested him, they said he had drums of radioactive material. I'm sure he had money to buy drums of radioactive material, and they all just brought him over to his house, and here's your radioactive material.
Have delivered, Tommy. Have delivered.
Just delivered to my backyard, and that'd be cool. So he's in jail from '96, and every year he's up for parole. He didn't even go to court yet. The government turns around and says he needs to be reevaluated before they'll let him go to court. Every year they say the same thing. He needs to be reevaluated. So they'll probably never let him out. So there's a lot of good things happening and a lot of really bad things. My other friend, Sean David Martin's dying in jail. And it's sad. He's sick. They won't help him. They want him to die. They did an operation on his eye, blind him. So, the UFO world's cool in one way, but when you get snagged doing something that the government doesn't want you to do, you're in trouble. So if you think these UFO people are telling the truth, think again. If they were putting anything dangerous out or anything real about the secret weapons and everything, they would be considered a terrorist. So when they talk about, well, the government has this ship and it does this, really? All right. If it was real, they would be on top of you. Now, Fred Bell, who was my friend, was killed 2 days after he did the show with Jesse Ventura. He wasn't allowed to go on mainstream to talk about certain things. So all these UFO people that you think you're following and telling you great stories, if you like stories, fine. It's like watching TV. But if you want the truth, tune in here. I promise you, we give you nothing but the truth. So help me and Tina. So I'll give it back to you, Tina.
Sorry, my dogs are just playing out there for a second. You might be able to hear them in the background. Yeah, I do apologise. Yeah, it's hot. It's very hot here. We're just going out for another walk. I do apologise. Anyway, so yeah, this week I would like to carry on a few things. So there's been other things. We had the Dragon crew that came back from space last week. We haven't heard much from them, but they had a little sit-down chat they advertised, but we haven't had any feedback or data or dates for next space exploration. So I'd like to see some of that, unless I've missed a few interviews, which is probably impossible. Also the crop circle thing. So if any of you guys, I'm not sure if it's the same in the States or this time of year, or if it's just the northern hemisphere, it would be great to find out if their crop circle is exploding in other places. In southern England, it is rife. It's so rife, and it's harvest time here in England, so it ruins the crop. So you get to hear about it more here. So in England, apparently they're only in wheat and barley fields. So
we don't get that many crop circles in the United States. If they are, they're covered up and nobody talks about them or nobody even finds them. But I know I had a friend when I was doing UFO conferences way back. She used to travel the world to film crop circles. She was inside one being made. So, but she always went to England. She was always going here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So they're real people. I know government tries to say they're not. I mean, there was a video put up where this high school person, college person, shot a video of a crop circle being made. They said he made the video up. It's hard to determine anything because we have more people out there trying to disprove or make believe that they did something important. It's sad. I mean, if we ever decide to work with truth, we might go much further in life, every which way. Even in a relationship, if people are honest, so many better things can happen. Greetings, people coming into the chat room.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm just looking to see if there's crop circles in southern England. I see, because of the light, you can't see it very well. But if you look at it on Facebook,
tilt it sideways, it reflects the light.
It's my screen's so white. You can't, it whites it out. You can't. I do apologise, people, but they have. I'm just going to check it out. They have.
You put them up on the Hive, right?
Yeah, I'll put them up on the Hive site. But
tell everybody to go there.
So yeah, just go to the Hive site, guys. But the other question is, so what is the purpose? So if they're in cornfields or barley fields, is it that they're more effective, or the only place that they can seem to do them? Because they could do them in sand and wind will blow them away. They're not destroying the crop fields, because the wheat and barley or whatever it is in the maize is bent. It's bent over, and the stalks and the middle nodes are bent. They're extended. So that's a that's a physical evidence. And you have the radiation, of course, but there is another purpose of communication. We're either missing something, missing a language, or the mathematics of these crop circles, and they're appearing in the same places every year. So if they're appearing in the same areas every year, why don't scientists or NASA or people that want to call us cuckoo, or people actually physically just leave a camera there all year round? Just go to the top of Hackpen Hill, where there's a big white horse on the side. I think it was made in about 1853. Just stick a camera up on the hill and make it rotate all day and all night, and just catch whatever. Because at the top, between Hackpen Hill and you've got a borough the other side there. It's not far from the stones, the standing stones.
Before we go any further, do you know what time it was made? What exact time? In the middle of the night, morning, noon, or do they know?
Night, it was the 22nd of July it was made.
You're always having UFOs over your house.
Yeah.
Did you keep track of that night? Did you go out at all or see anything?
What I do, all my pictures on Facebook and all my pictures I take, I have date recordings on them, and they can tell you the time, the place, the location they're taking. So all my pictures and data are all backed up with time, dates in. See that on there? So I have
Right.
the time, dates, and location, and time of day or night that I've taken the pictures, and the location as well. That'll all be on there.
Well, it'd be cool if you could get a picture of a crop circle with the time that you have that you saw a ship or something, or one of those weird things.
Well, yeah, what I'll do, I'll look on it because it comes out on the website, but they don't know because they don't have cameras in the middle of farmers' fields in southern England. We
Right.
don't know until the next morning or someone goes out walking or farmers see it.
But
So
even if it's just the same day or same night, like if you went out last
normally, I don't think they've ever had any during the day here. They might have had done, I'm not sure, early evening maybe, but they're mainly all done, I believe, at night. But they've just exploded this year. I'm not sure if it's because of the heat. They're communicating something to us. They're all circles and not squares and not oblongs. You had some longer ones that they said was language and things like that.
I had a
But
friend who said, oh, sorry.
but they're definitely communicating something. But what it is, go on. Sorry, Tommy, I'll read that.
I have a friend that says he can actually translate them what they mean. And he met with that girl that I know that was taking crop circles all over the world to tell them what they mean. The science that says what they mean are certain things, like the symbol of life, the symbol of, I mean, it's not like they're saying, well, get off the planet by tomorrow. I mean, it's like trying to understand what they really want to tell us is really critical. But I guess that is their only way of communicating with us, that particular race that's making them. And they've been doing it for such a long time.
It was interesting. There was no magnetic field because it also picks up magnetic field on my Geiger counter. It didn't pick absolutely nothing up on a magnetic field whatsoever. And I took a compass in there, no problem whatsoever. The only thing it gave off was radiation. My micro tester was going up and down on the radiation reading. It's strange. You think there would be magnetic readings, wouldn't you? But obviously not.
You would think so, but you're doing a real thing. You're touching it, you tested it, and everything else. Now, the other thing that they always try to disprove or prove is the way the grass is swooshed down. Like they said, a real crop circle, it's kind of welded and bends over rather than just breaking and bending over.
Yeah.
Can you actually test that? Did you even try, or can you try to see if that's how it went down?
Well, I took a picture, which I have here. If I can get it up and show you, I will. But at the time, if you tried to bend the straw there, you couldn't. And there's a picture. The actual straw is actually bent. It's not snapped. It is bent, and all the nodes are elongated. You can see like the knuckle bit of the wheat is
that's cool.
Bent. Yeah, you can see the wheat is all. Sorry, the light there is terrible, but the wheat is all bent. But you'll see that on the there's me sat inside. I see that the light. It's the light off my screen's terrible. But there's me sat inside the crop circle. There you go. Just about make me out there. But yeah. So you can see there are scientists that go there. We spoke to the two gentlemen in the field that collect money for the farmer, because you obviously can't farm his field. You know, they use it for whatever reason. So they collect farmer. We pay to go into the crop circle, and people take drone footage. There's a lot of drone footage. If you go to YouTube, there's drone footage of all the crop circles over the UK. And you see scientists in there taking crop samples or testing them. You can go with a Geiger counter yourself. They give off radiation. It fluctuates throughout the circles. Just take your own readings. I took a metal detector in there. Couldn't detect any metal. I couldn't detect any signs of electrical magnetic field. Nothing.
Well, I'm just trying to read some of the comments in the chat room from our friend there. He used the word for the crop circles. You know, realize we're dealing with races from different realities, different places, as far out as you could imagine or not imagine. Why would we assume that our language is important, or any language on this planet is important? Considering we didn't use words a long time ago. I'm talking in like Atlantis and time frames. It was psychic.
They use symbols now in the space program, and in mathematics they use symbols instead of words and letters and numbers.
But as far as thought, I mean, like you even say it yourself, they actually communicate without. They just send the thought to you. And in Atlantis, it was the same way. People didn't have to say it out loud, and you didn't have words. You didn't need words for certain things. You just knew the feelings and emotions and everything that went along with it. So when somebody said they were talking to an alien, I said, well, did they learn your language? And then what did they say? And all those kind of things, which is kind of funny. I mean, Billy Myers talks to these aliens, and he got all these books and stories and on and on and on. The one alien taught him the religion and wrote this whole thing out for him. So, however that happened. So, I look at the facts. The facts are we don't have any real facts. So you have to base it what you can as your own personal truth. And if you have none, you got no truth at all. So I'm saying if you want to see a UFO, at least get that foundation. So when you hear a UFO or something, you can say, well, at least I saw one. So please, my book is free. I'll send it to you as an ebook, and you can read it. It'll help you do the steps to go out and see a UFO. Real easy, real fast. But in the interim, I went out. I try to go out every night. But the problem is here in Hawaii right now, we've been having the worst clouds every single night. 3 months straight, I didn't see one clear night at all. We had about 20 minutes one night. Last night I went out. There was about 10 minutes. The sky was clear. I said, wow. I said, I got to go out. I go out, and the clouds just came right in. I'm not kidding. It's like I went out. Here they come. They're magnet to me, and here they come. So it's pretty bizarre because I've been getting so many cool pictures about 3 months ago, the little times that I went out. Sure, the good things always happen when you don't have your camera in your hand, and I think they know that. But last night, I'm looking at a ship, and I say, hey, I'm shining a light on it to the people next door, and they looked, and then it just blinked out just like that. So, they do sense us. So getting back to that thought energy, they can read us from pretty far away.
Me and my two neighbours stood out there last night, and one was just flying about like a bee really high up. They thought it was a star, and I said, watch it. And it just moved about the sky for about 5-10 minutes, and then it just shut off. Just go outside and look up, guys.
I told him to come on. I'm just telling my friend to come on. Hold on.
As to the Philip Schreiber story, I'm just reading off a comment from one of our viewers there. The Philip Schreiber, is it Schreiber? Am I saying his name right?
Philip Schreiber?
Yeah, he was a geologist, I believe, that worked for the military, and he went with a Delta Force team to use explosives underground to make some kind of tunnel. So he was actually a geologist. He wasn't like a full-on Marine.
Well, he's not there yet, but he's trying to come on.
Yes, hello everyone.
Hi, we can see you. We don't. We can hear you, but we don't see you yet. But,
Copy that. Yeah, I've got the camera off for now.
Greetings. I guess you can hear what we're talking about right now because she had a whole bunch of crop circles made around her area in England.
I think I saw those pictures on Facebook.
Yeah, I think on Facebook, Tom. They're on Facebook.
Well, she went inside one of them.
Yeah.
So, and they're radioactive, so they're real. So,
there's loads. If you go on YouTube and look at Southern England crop circles, people that go up with the drones take lots of footage. There's lots of footage of loads of them in Southern England. Just go and have a look.
Sasha, you got anything to ask, say, or any questions right away?
Not of right now. I just got in. I'm more than happy just to listen in, and I'll input. Whenever
what's your take, Sasha, on crop circles? Then, people say no, they're too complicated. They're too precise, and they contain radiation and bent corn. As far as I know, man doesn't succeed in extending and bending corn, and they don't carry bags of radiation about with them. So there are some that are man-made that they do for reasons. But what's your take?
That's what I was about to say. I personally do believe that there are aliens that do real crop circles, but it's just human nature to copy and get your 50 minutes of fame. And of course, you're always going to have people that are going to go out there and copy that and get their FaceTime on local news and stuff like that.
There's a couple of shows on TV which they've been putting them up all the time, and some of them are showing some incredible stuff lately. What's being filmed, but just to show you how ridiculous it's getting, Ozzy, famous Ozzy Osbourne, is doing a show with his wife on paranormal. And they got a guy showing them the pictures, and they sit there debating whether it's real or not. It is hilarious. They don't believe anything anyway. So it's like, oh, that's not real. That's a shadow. But it's just funny to listen to Ozzy because he was doing another show with a bunch of people, and he had this puppet of him in his hand all the time, and he was using that. But these people are getting shows promoting just about nothing. But when you go into these specific UFOs specials and the ghost specials, there's so much coming out right now. I always say it this way. Even if 80% is fake, if 10%, 20% is real, guess what? It's real. And that would automatically put the idea that whatever they're talking about is the real thing. They got so many devices to record ghost speaking now and talking and things like that. How real that is, I don't know. I'm not in a haunted neighborhood. My house isn't haunted. Or I'd be doing that.
They want to go outside and concentrate on the sky. I'm sure they'd see something just in one night.
Yeah, just get your courage to go out and spend a couple hours. You can't. It's like fishing. You just can't go out there 5 minutes, put a hook in the water, and say, "Where's my fish?" You got to put the time in. But if you put time in on a regular basis, it'll manifest something real fast.
Yeah, I don't have the patience, to fish.
Well, most people don't. And that's why fishing's not one of the biggest hobbies on the planet. I mean, a lot of rich people do it because they got a nice boat. But
just go outside my house at night about 10:30, 11:30, maybe about 11:45. Stand outside for about 10 or 15 minutes, and you'll have your camera's worth.
Well, so if you're going to see a UFO, you got to be. I always say find a clear spot where you can see a large part of the sky. You don't want to see one small section. Even though you can see stuff in that, it's just a little harder. It makes it so much easier when you got a big, wide, big circle of energy coming down, and then you could see that area of light and stuff as well. So I'd say about 180 view is incredible. 90 is good. 60 is all right. When it goes down to 20 and 30%, it's a little harder to see much. So wherever you live, try to find an area where you can see that much area, even if it's in the park or whatever. Some parks don't let you stay in there all night anyway, but even a street where there's a park on it where you can actually go near, walk in the street and see in the sky. It's a good thing to practice if you really want to see a UFO. Just pick out your area during the day. Don't wait till nighttime to say, well, I'm going to go look and try to find a spot. Find a spot where you can see what you're going to see when you look there at nighttime. Because you'd be shining your light around. A cable looks like something going by when you hit it with a light. I mean, a bird. Now, infrared cameras do pick up bugs great. So when you're using a camera like that, a little bug flying past the screen reflects the light so big and it looks like a ship just went past. But there's things you need to learn that are beneficial when you try to go to find a UFO. But I mean, Tina doesn't have too much to do except go outside and open her eyes because they're always watching her. So now that the idea that drones are following her, are watching her.
Yeah.
I told you, Tina, they're watching you, both sides.
Well, it wasn't to my neighbour. I went out and I was watering. It was because it's been extremely hot here in England, and unusually so. And I was just out. It must have been about 10:30, 11:30 at night. And I went out and watered my plants at the front of my house, and because the sun sets at the front of my house, and there's woods behind me, and my two neighbours across the road just happened to be stood on the corner, and I turned my hosepipe off, and we were just having a chatter, and they said, "Did you see the light in the woods a few weeks ago?" I'm like, "Yeah, I went out with my camera and took some pictures." It was like light flying above the woods, not far behind me. In the sky, it was quite high up. And then she said, "Oh, the last couple of weeks, her and her neighbour came out and they like chat at night because it's a lot cooler here." And she said that they've been flying drones outside your house. Do you not hear them or see them? I'm like, "No, I don't hear or see nothing." I said, "What time is it?" She said, "Oh, it's got to be between 1:30 to 3 o'clock in the morning." And I normally go in about 1 o'clock in the morning. And she said, and they've had like, I said, "What, one drone?" She said, "No, there's like been like 3 or 4 like black drones. They don't make much noise." I said, "Normally they sound like bees flying about." She said, "And they've been around upside and by the woods and out the top of your house." I'm like, "Really?" That's the first I've heard of it. So I was quite shocked to hear from my neighbours that someone's been flying a few drones outside my house, black drones at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Even more worrying than that, a couple of miles that way is a airport. So there shouldn't be anything flying about in the path of aeroplanes. So that was a bit disconcerting. But yeah, and then I was talking to my neighbours. She looked up and said, "Look, that star's moving." I said, "That's not a star," and it just started floating about. Yeah.
When I used to lecture for the UFO realm with a friend of mine, Sergeant 18, we met a guy, one of the people, and he was into magnetic fields. He called these hockey puck magnets. They were about that big. Let me get my hands there. All right. The amount of pull or pressure that they put against another piece when you put a piece of paper in between it, and how much you still couldn't move them when you put a plate in between them or anything. The magnetic field is so strong. But what he said, he could put 3 of them together and it would interfere with the helicopter. And they couldn't fly over his house and stuff. So magnetic fields, like you were saying, there was no magnetic fields there, which it could probably be there when they're there. The same as, you know anything about CERN?
Yeah, I understand.
When it's on, the radiation, but when it's on, the radiation could kill anybody.
Yeah.
When they shut it off, it's not there. I don't know how that happened. My brother's a chemist. He tried to tell me. But the radiation isn't there when it's not on. But they got a freeze chamber around that whole thing because if it ever broke while it was on, it would kill tons of people. So the chamber has to freeze it so that it cools it when it comes. But the actual radiation disappears. But the magnetic field, I would say, is only on when the ship's producing magnetic field that it's traveling on or using to move. So, like I said, if you keep some kind of, if there's a device, which I'll have to figure out, is there a device that can measure magnetic energy? Not like another magnet. I mean, something that can measure.
Yes, on the Geiger counter I have. I might have it here actually. On the Geiger counter I have, so you can it measures micro teslas, and it registers magnetic field.
But like, how good is that? Do you even have a clue? Like, how far away could it measure it?
Mine's beeping like mad now. See that beeping?
Oh yeah. You see
and
that?
The radiation at the bottom. See the radiation at the bottom? There should be
going off.
Magnetic field here. 13. Did you see that? So the top one, I'm not sure what's beeping. There's nothing apart from nothing. See, it shouldn't go off near my computer. It's a brand new computer, and there's nothing else in it. It's like
that is weird.
That's yeah, that worries me. So the top one is a magnetic field, which should be reading anything. So something in here is giving off a magnetic field, and the bottom one is radiation micro teslas there.
Okay.
So that's rocks per meter.
So that, how far do you think you could read? Like what I'm saying, if a drone was over your house, could it pick up that energy?
I should imagine it's got a good 10, 20 feet. I wouldn't say it's got hundreds of yards on it.
Oh,
but
right.
Now it's saying 23 to 9.
What I'm just saying, if you could leave it on like at night, and then you would. Well, how's it bad? Is it bad right now?
11, 10. It's going down. Oh, see 8.
Yep.
I'm beeping again.
Yes. Oh, we're gonna have to work on that because you're having so many effects from radiation.
There's no electrical field. Where would that be emitted from? It's 38 to 41.
Have you tried putting your cell phone to it and see?
My cell phone's over there. Hold on. No, it doesn't measure micro teslas on my cell phone. See, my phone's over there.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't pick up that. Like I said, I know
it's electrical magnetic field. See it?
Yeah.
89.
We see it.
Yeah, my phone's there.
Does that pick up ghosts as well?
Where the hell is that coming from?
Well, all these detectors that pick up ghost energy and things like that. There's a few apps you can download from your cell phone, and maybe you should.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got about.
I've got a light bulb and it's off. It's not even a light bulb.
Well, I got a few on my phone.
Why is that beeping? Look.
Yeah.
You see
Well,
it. It's crazy.
as a side note there, Tommy, every time I try to record or take pictures of the stuff, they never show. They never seem to show up. It's only when I'm just out there by myself.
Well, they don't let anybody take pictures of them. That's for sure. And I guess what I learned when we used to film, Sargella and I, we had a slave camera, a slave light, which means when you shoot your camera, the slave light goes off when you shoot your camera.
Yeah.
But there's a time difference between the two.
Yeah, I've played with that, and I've got the proper setting I want.
Oh, the reason why that makes it harder for a spirit or entity, energy to shift between both, and it's a lot easier to catch it.
Also, kind of like trapping it.
It's trapping it because a spirit will say, "I don't want to be caught," or whatever it is. By the time it disappears, the second flash catches it.
I'm up to start going to the park because I don't want to be lighting up my neighborhood all night long.
Well, see, I do. I mean, everybody's buying lasers around me now. every hour.
It's going higher.
What I just found out though, in the rallies, in those terrorist rallies, they're using laser lights to blind people. It is considered a weapon, and obviously you can't shoot a laser in somebody's eyes, or you should not.
Well, someone's shooting radiation at me and a magnetic. Where do you get magnetic fields from then? What emanates that?
Since they found they can prove they could levitate a frog with magnetic energy, the idea of what magnetic energy has changed. And that was only a few years ago. So, I mean, if it could levitate a frog, which isn't metal, it's interesting. So the idea of what kind of energy that they're dealing with, they still have no clue. So what would radiate magnetic energy? I would say, if I had my meteorite next to you, I would ask you to check it. Because I made that device. I don't know if I ever showed you. I think I did. It weighs a ton, but it has so much stuff in it. And I got electric wire that I ran through the whole thing so I could run voltage through it. But and it has to produce a magnetic field of some kind, and I have no way to measure that. But let me just show you real fast. It's pretty big. Oh, it's pretty heavy too. All right. I'm gonna have to go back. Let me get that. All right. That's what it looks like. My device that I made. It weighs a lot. It has everything you can imagine inside it. Spiritual things, every kind of creature, hair, sample, feathers, from eagle, bear. I got sage from 100 sacred fires. I got ash from certain things. I have even Sai Baba's ash, which I don't believe is really that incredible in any which way. But when I made that, I got it from somebody that made this technology by putting hair inside shells and putting them together, and it creates an energy field. So anybody that I ever let hold that kind of like gets zapped out of their body like real easy. But it's quite heavy. I mean, it's like,
well,
I don't even know.
Yeah, perhaps I need to make a trip to Hawaii.
And just hold it?
Just hold it.
Well, this part of it, which I keep in it all the time, is this meteorite. I'm going the wrong way.
Okay, yeah, I see it now.
So this meteorite's pretty big, just to show you my hand.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I can put this on a person's head like that, and it zaps them as well. But I keep it
Don't put it on mine, it'll probably explode.
It might. I keep it inside that device I made, which keeps both of them charged. But I burned it out one time. I keep meaning to set up to go outside, but it gets rainy too fast, and I hate to bring all my stuff out there, and then it starts raining. I got a laser light right here. This is a laser show. I keep going the wrong way. All right. It produces all kinds of shows with lasers, and I bought that to set it up to point to the sky and everything as well. I mean, I just got one of the most powerful lasers, which is so cool.
Like a nuke reactor.
I mean, it's easy to contact ships when you use light. So I was thinking of setting up the light, which I'm going to do. But when I set all these things up, it always starts raining. That has to be plugged in. What we used to do, and this is in my book if you're interested, what we used to do is take a big flashlight, stick it in the ground, and put a crystal on top of it. And the light goes through the crystal sphere. All right. It pulls in things really incredible. I don't have my pictures out, but it pulls energies into it and everything else. So it's little things that I talk about in there, which Sergio and I worked out that work really good to produce more things happening.
Yeah. I've got a question about that.
Yeah.
For someone who does not know what they're doing, if you went out, got a crystal and flashlight, could you be pulling in something you do not want?
Do you want an alien in your room or house or near it?
No.
I mean, when you call in anything, what would you want to call in that would be good? That would be the first question. Unless you're trying to call in a spiritual angel. Hey, I want a spiritual angel to come in and I put a crystal out there. You call in aliens. There's no good aliens. So that would be the first thing you have to realize when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is, if you're trying to call in, like when people use a Ouija board, what do you expect to get? God to come out and talk to you through it? Jesus to come out to talk you through it?
No.
See,
I had one experience with the Ouija board. We did that one time. My roommate got possessed for about a month. Finally realized what was happening. We took him back to the graveyard, and that soul was released from him.
well, see, people need to know the word protection.
Mm-hmm.
I was protected all my life. When I was 6 and the ship came to abduct my brother, I was standing right there and I put my hands on the window and the ship just shot away. I didn't have to think about it. But it is your connection to the higher energies, and I call what the highest is God. So, and you're protected when you're in tune with that. When you do an exorcism, which I did a few, you have to be in touch with that because, say, here's a Bible, all right? In the name of this, be gone. Really? You think an alien cares about a book in your hand? I mean, people are so lame. And when you use words, there's a lot of words in the Bible. And just because you use words doesn't change anything. The original exorcist was a real thing that happened. It wasn't a girl, it was a boy. But 2 priests died trying to exorcise that spirit out of that girl, out of that boy. So, I was never afraid to do that. I'm never afraid to take on spirits or demons or creatures or even the top cultist group people. Because when you're protected, there's nothing that can hurt you. But you have to understand that, know it, and work with it. Because if you don't believe it's there, obviously it's not going to work for you. So when you're going out looking at UFOs, protection's important because you could get abducted. And people have to realize that people driving in their cars get abducted that don't even want to or even not even trying.
Sleep in your bed and they take you.
Yeah, if you go to bed every night, I want to be abducted. I want to be abducted. I guarantee you're going to dream about it. And then whether it really happened or not, that's a different story, which it could. A lot of people get abducted in their dream time. All right. And that's where they come up with these great stories. See, an experience that goes on about being taken from their bed in this state. They're not like taken physically out of the bed and walked out the door, brought on a ship or anything like that. So there's a lot of combinations of stories that do not fit to the truth. And you know me, if it doesn't fit the truth, I don't even want to hear it. I mean, I'm not into stories, and Tina's not into stories. She's dealing with somebody that's some things that are freaking taking her out and doing all kinds of stuff to her. She doesn't think it's good. So when you want to see, talk to somebody that makes up stories, they're good. They're all aliens are good. One of the guys I wanted to debate when I gave up that show though, but he's a famous person and he talks that Jesus is fake and he goes on about a lot of things. I said, well, because he's fake. He doesn't even know who he is. But when they talk about aliens and they say they're all good, oh, wow. I mean, they're all good. And we're such a lousy race right now. I mean, they've been here for thousands of years and they never helped us become any better than we are.
Millions of years, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? You know, if they were here before we came here and they've been here since, you'd think they would stop us from killing each other. The first thing, stop torturing children and all the little things that man does. Never mind give them something more important to play with than a ball. I mean, all the money spent on a ball, even football, baseball. basketball and the games and the money they make, and all that money going to something that has nothing to do with making us a better person, more spiritual person, more understanding person. So, I always say it's not what we do spiritually from men, it's lust, greed, anger, vanity, and attachment. But I break it down to sex, drugs, drinking, partying, cheap thrills, and sports. Cheap thrills, I mean, like jumping out of a plane, climbing up a cliff, hoping you don't fall off, hoping, knowing that you can. I mean, it's always doing something that possibly can bring you close to death is the cheap thrill. So mankind has dropped spiritual growth at every level because we don't do anything important at a level that help mankind. And I want to take this a little bit longer tonight, just a little bit about that, because I want to get into the idea of money. Money is such a false idea. Well, I don't want to talk about it because it's taking away from the show that we're doing right now, but we have to look at what's happening to the world right now. We're living in it, and things are changing. Are these aliens really helping us in any good way? Oh, this lady came on my show we were doing. Oh, they stopped the sun from having a solar flare. Oh, they stopped us from moving. I said, really? We had a giant solar flare not too long ago. We had 3 of them in a year, a couple of years ago. I said, did they stop in that? I mean, where do these people come up with? It's always to say we stopped it from happening because it didn't happen. I know people that went put these rods in the ground and used to pray that the volcano wouldn't take out a country or out of state or whatever. But now there is a prophecy. In the next week and a half, we're supposed to have a 10.2 earthquake. Believe that if you want. I know we're not. It might happen a week later, but it's not going to happen within this next
Someone
week.
had a 5.2 or a 5.7 one today or yesterday, didn't they?
Oh, that would happen every day here. Just to show you real fast. Hold on real quick here.
The U.S. government changed the Richter scale to throw people off, to make them more complicit. The Richter guy.
Well, there was a 6 point in Tanzania, wherever that is.
Tanzania.
Okay.
It's actually more of like a 7.
One was a 5 in Russia. One was Tonga, a 5.0.
Wow.
So they're happening right now everywhere, like always. But we have a lot of 6s, and I mean, we start at 5 now. We have so many 5s in a day. There's about.
They're getting stronger, aren't they?
But we had Alaska had a big one about 2 months ago.
Yeah, not long ago. Yeah.
Russia had a big one. I mean, a 6.0 is big.
Russia had some problems, haven't they? The past century or so, before the going back, they had the Tuscanga event. And there was another event as well, wasn't there? That was either reported of UFO crashing or something crashed in the mountain range up there, and they've had quite a few, haven't they? And they've had earthquakes and quite a lot of things going on.
Well, what I want to bring up real fast is if anybody's listening to this show, North Carolina had a big earthquake recently. They're having a couple all the time now. And it wasn't too big today. It was just a 2.9, but they're having a lot more in one specific area. So what I'm saying, if anybody knows where that area is, pull it up on the earthquake chart. See if they know anything going on, any kind of fracking, any kind of supposedly building site or
UFOs.
Not UFOs too, but I feel earthquakes are more affected by what people do to the earth, to the center of the earth, and to the ground, and to the ocean. I also believe when we create an earthquake, it doesn't produce the tsunami. So all these ones without big giant tsunamis are produced by the government. Now, don't forget, Tesla had the first earthquake machine in 1900. And I guarantee the government didn't throw it away. They rebuilt it, reused it, made it 10 times greater than it was 100 years ago. So obviously they can do whatever they want with earthquakes. And I'm sure people that are aware of Tesla's technology, like Russia and China right now, are trying to deal with it. But we had the head start. So that gave us a start. And then we were working, and this is my viewpoint. I don't know if you agree with it or not, Tina, but it's your choice as well. That the United States is the first country to actually deal in a great way with aliens. Now, I know Russia is, because they started working with us. But now China, we never really worked together with China because we had 3 major wars in space, and it was Russia, Germany, and the United States. So it wasn't China. So whatever they say, their technology, they want to go to the sun.
There have been Chinese astronauts reported seeing UFOs and hearing knocking in space.
Oh, no, I'm not
I
saying
think
that.
on the grandest scale of things, I think Russia's dealt with a lot. America is hugely a part of it, and France, I believe. I know England is a part of it somewhere in there, but I believe that France and the US are 2 very big parts of that.
Well, when you go to Pine Gap in Australia, it's the biggest army base on the planet. Now, that's owned by Britain and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then what I feel is funny, all the earthquakes happen around that island. I mean, all the earthquakes, it's in the northern part of Australia.
New Zealand's one of the newest islands on the planet, isn't it, in geologically wise, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But, we're going to have a shift. And whether it's going to be an earthquake, a tsunami, or a meteorite crash, I think the Earth's going to shift real soon. And that's going to throw a lot more things out of balance. I mean, but the big thing, the threat right now is China, Russia, deciding to put what's the weapon that they can use in space? It'll blow up and burn up all our satellites.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So
I heard about that.
It's an easy way to take out, but we can do the same to them. And I guarantee you,
why would you want to do that to neighbor? We were supposed to be, we're all human beings. We're all supposed to be working together for the greater good.
That would, that's
corporation people.
That's unprogrammed, unreligious people think like that. Now, because Muslims believe their own truth, they believe their own God.
But they've got a spaceship on their way to Mars. Hope, isn't it?
Well, they want to take over the world. They want to take over the United States. All right, that's their belief system. So their God's different than ours, and the Pope's trying to unite the Muslims with Christians. He's another evil person right now that's shifted, and a lot of the Christian people are realizing that he's not doing the right things anymore. He's changing things. He said Adam and Eve was a fake story. He said hell doesn't exist. He's rewriting parts of the 10 Commandments. So he's doing an incredible number on the religion itself, and not in a good way. So to think you can unite with the Muslims believe in sex in heaven. I mean, that's their main goal, men. Have virgins and have all these women and have sex for a week straight and all that. That's their goal, to die. I mean, they live a beautiful life supposedly with a woman, and they think about dying and having sex with a virgin. Now, tell me, do you believe that's normal? That's a good way to think? I mean, to think that we should unite with people like that? And they're coming into the United States, and they're starting to create their religion inside the United States, which I find completely mind-boggling. Hillary Clinton wanted to bring 30,000 Muslims, 30,000, I think, a year into the United States. I don't know where she's coming from either, but luckily she's not president right now. So we got aliens in the background, and they're doing what they need to do. As long as we stay boggled down with a whole bunch of other stuff.
That brings a note, because you got general election coming up, what we would call a general election in this, like we have in the UK, for a presidential election to elect a president. Now, the last two or three elections, they've brought up about disclosure of UFOs, haven't they? So that'll be interesting to watch.
It's all exaggerated, because the UFO world wants to. If Trump just said, I don't believe in aliens. He just said that last week. So when they say Trump's going to disclose UFOs and aliens, if he doesn't believe in it, why would he even want to try to disclose it? I mean, his son wants to know about aliens, and he asked him on a show that he did, and he goes, well, Area 51's interesting. That's what he said. He didn't say, I'm going to go there.
There's only so many things he's legally allowed to disclose, isn't there?
No, we know that. But as president, if he wants to be famous, he could release it. Kennedy was killed because he was going to try to release it. Marilyn Monroe was his co-pilot because he told her everything. And she was killed. He had the manuscripts of what she was going to release the week before she was killed.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she committed suicide. Sorry, she committed suicide. The suicide deal. All right? That's the way government gets rid of people. Tell them to commit suicide. Do you want to commit suicide? I doubt it. So we're kind of on time. I don't know how much further you want to go, Tina.
No, I'm going to go now because I'm absolutely sweating in this heat box here. It's so hot in Britain.
it was a pleasure, like always.
And you.
And we'll get some more stories for you next week. Do what you can. Try to find out if you can pinpoint anything with the time frame of something you saw with the crop circle. I mean, how much you really did in the past couple of weeks, because if you can just even put one together, how much evidence that would be for that it was created by an alien ship or something rather than magic dust flying through the air. So it's been a pleasure, Tina. We'll talk next week. Anything cool, text me. I'll text you. So until next time.
Yeah, good talking to you. Take care.
Thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, Sasha. It's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you for having me again this week, Tommy. I've been Tina Bird here in Southampton in the UK, and you can find me on Hive, Human Individuals Visited by Extraterrestrials, and you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And it's been a pleasure here from the UK to speak to you guys in the States and in Hawaii, and it's goodbye from me here in England. Thank you.
Bye. Pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Sasha, you leaving?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, all right. Because what I want to do for a little bit, not too long, I just want to talk about what's happening right now with our government. We've got a serious problem. We got an election coming up. I should put this camera over here. All right, we got an election coming up. And we have two parties that are so contradictory to each other. And all they can do is attack each other. And all the people with each one of them has to attack each other. Why in the world do people think that it's a good thing? Why do people accept it? If you have somebody running for president, he should be telling us what he's going to do, not what somebody else is not going to do, just what he is going to do. I mean, when a person comes in, what are you going to do first? That's all we care about. It's not about what anybody else is or isn't going to do. So how do we let these people go on, and why do we listen to them? I write letters to every single site every day. I write about 20, 30 letters to these idiots. I said, oh, attack him. I mean, Biden is going through some problems. And I said, yeah, well, we all have problems. And I said, he's got a really good running mate for vice president. And if he goes out, we have a good president. We have a black woman for president. So what's wrong with that? The problem is everybody has to attack everybody. What they did in their past, No, this is presidency. I mean, did we care whether they were having sex or not? I mean, the scandals about all that went down and everything. We need to know when we elect a president, vice president, are they able to help us in any way? If not, why are we even electing them? We're in a position where we don't have a right to do anything we want. We can't stop anything from changing. Congress needs to be changed. I mean, and not to Trump's people. We need to change it to real people that care about people. So we're at a critical moment because the election's only 2 months away. And people are going to be trying to figure out who they're going to vote for. Most people already know. And this whole thing about mail-in votes, and Trump's going to try to stop it, postpone it, so this way they can't send the mail-in votes and it won't get counted. I mean, realize he got elected by electoral votes when he got in. Hillary won the regular votes. So think about that. If you're going to go out and vote, now they're saying they're going to block them, and a lot of them are fake. Don't listen to anything you say. At least do it. So all you can say, you tried. Put a sign on in front of your house. I mean, then you might get targeted by other people. Oh, she's for Trump, or he's not for Trump. Let's burn his house down. It's so bad right now. I mean, we should only care about things that are going to help the human race, meaning the people in the United States first, and not what's going to be spent. Now, what I wanted to bring out, people, if anybody listens to this, please, anybody listening right now, forward this to everybody you know. Money. Now, in 1934 was the end of World War II. All money was based on silver and gold. After the war, years later, they decided to buy all those certificates back. For a $20 bill, you could get $1,000 or $2,000 because gold's value was up. But don't forget, it was only the paper value that you had. You didn't have the actual gold. So all that money was taken out after a certain time frame, and they gave everybody the option, you return the money now or it's not going to be worth anything more. In other words, if I had a $20 gold certificate, it's worth $20 now, not like $2,000. So the reason why I know my first wife's father was in the war. He was in Germany sending money back. And when I went into the house, his mother was up in the attic, living up in the top floor, and I found this box. It was filled with gold and silver certificates and a stack of German money. I called my girlfriend up, my wife, and she came running up. Oh, wow. And she called the mother up. The mother grabbed the money and went downstairs with it. I said, you got to be careful. That's gold and silver certificates. It's worth a lot of money. I said, put it in a safe deposit box. What did she do? Go put it into a bank account. And the bank took all that money. I don't even know how much money it would have been worth. It was about $3,000 in 10s and 20s, but they were all gold and some were silver certificates.
Oh, man.
Now, we changed from gold, and read every bill you have in case you don't know what a bill looks like. That's what a bill looks like. See,
Fake paper.
Can you read what it says on the top there? It says Federal Reserve Note. What's that mean? It means a piece of paper. So money's based on a piece of paper.
It's pretty much a promissory note.
Well, promissory note is still a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why they came up with money is when they were dealing with gold, they didn't want to move gold around. Imagine moving two tons of gold and all this kind of gold back and forth around the world and everything. They decided, well, you keep the gold and we'll move the money around. So here's a problem. And I'm telling you, it's really a good thing if we realize what's happening. People, wake up. Nobody knows how much gold the United States has. Nobody. If they don't know how much you have, how can they determine how much you can spend? They can't. All right? They can say they got 10 trillion tons of gold somewhere. Nobody can prove it. They let a group of people into the mint one time in one room to see the piles of gold in there. What if all the other rooms were empty even and we had no gold? I mean, they didn't let anybody. Nobody knows how much gold there is. Now, why I'm saying that? Because if the government, they say, we can't print no more money. Why not? I said, if somebody, listen to this idea. If the government says, okay, print $10 trillion in dollar bills. Well, let's make it simple. It's $10 bills. Throw that money out the window all over the United States. Who's going to be accountable for that money? You got a $20 bill, $10 bill in your hand. Who's accountable to that? Nobody. Who's accountable to where it's supposed to have come from? Nobody. So when the government says we had to borrow money from China, why? They didn't feel like printing money for the year, or they just didn't feel like getting out of bed and turning the printing machine on? Because you're printing money that's based on paper. I know that China wants to go back to gold as well, but they're talking about going to oil, which basically is how it's foundation of money. So that being said, gold is still more valuable than oil at any point. If we printed money, which we do, nobody knows how much is being printed. Like if somebody gave me $10 million in 20s, who's going to be accountable for that? I mean, how many people take the serial numbers? And if you have the serial number, you can get your bill back. Like if half of it's ripped, but as long as you have the serial number on there, you can get your $20 bill back, even though it's ripped in half, whatever. But the problem is nobody's accountable. Do we know how much gold China really has for them to lend us money? Anybody that deals with the idea that somebody knows how much money somebody has is ridiculous. The kings, the pharaohs, they had piles of gold, but they still taxed the people. Why? People with money only want more money, not less. They're not going to give up what they have. I promise you that. Now, why I'm saying that, Trump doesn't talk about anything important. Nobody does. Now, when they say, okay, we're going to have a space program, we're going to allow, what, $30 million to it? Really? Only $30 million? They spent $5 trillion this year on the war in other countries right now. They spent way over that for our war weapons inside the United States. And now the whole space program. Nobody can keep track of that. Nobody does. Do you think when they spend that kind of money, it's more than they put in the budget for the people that eat in the United States? It's ignorant to think and believe what you believe is real. Now, if that's true, Why don't you just print a little more money and get themselves out of debt? Wouldn't that make common sense? It's a burden that they want to eliminate and destroy the United States right now. They don't have, there's no lack of money. They want you to believe that. There's a space period. Now, add one little thing that nobody in government, nobody in any realm talks about: the underground cities inside the United States alone. Where's that money coming from? Who's building it? Who built it? They took over missile asylums to build cities and stuff like that, where they started building them, and then they blew out these tunnels. There's tunnels all across the United States. There's bases and tunnels and cities all over the United States. Where's all that money coming from, and where's it going, and how's it being spent? They got the best underground food supplies, hydroponics, and you name it. Who's paying all this money? Where's it coming from? Dreamland? Imaginary land? Yes, it is. So when people say we're in deficit, prove it. Let's all go into the mint house. Let's see how much gold's really in there. Let's weigh it. Let's figure out how much is in there. All the gold that was under the trade center. Do we even know where it went? Like I said, they can have billions of tons of gold somewhere, just because they don't tell it. It's probably underground cities where they're storing it, just so nobody can have it. And if they ever build an underground city, the world happens to get destroyed and they come back out, they'll still have their gold. Think about reality. Don't think about your dreams and love and compassion and fantasies. We're way beyond that. At least the government is. The Agenda 21, UN Agenda 21, is the elimination, the control, and destruction of the United States. World governments around the planet agreed on that in 1998. Now it's called UN Agenda 21, 22, 23, 24 to the year 24. So guess what their plans are for the next 4 years? Creating wars, creating unrest, creating every kind of problem in the United States, this virus. So it's not mistake. There's never a mistake. Government doesn't make mistakes. I mean, unless they're not thinking or aware. If they're aware, they don't make mistakes. If they got their eyes closed, then somebody else will sneak in and try to. But the United States is already prepared to take out any country within a short period of time, which they could. But if we do that, now, see, other countries are friends with other countries. If we attack Iranian people, or we do something like that, Russia gets mad. I mean, however, whoever's friends with who's selling them the weapons? You know, we fight with somebody and we're at war with everybody. But when two other countries fight, we supply them with the weapons to fight each other. It's pathetic, but the money's being spent. And there's no limit to money. Unless everybody had to see the money in front of their face every day, where it is and how much is there, do we know how much is backing any of the money we spend? I mean, we have to feel that we're working for it and we get what we paid for what we do. And it's based on some ignorant fool saying, they only deserve $20, $10, $5. Well, they're only doing slave work, so let's not make sure they don't get money. But he's a scientist. He's going to work and develop weapons for us. We'll give him whatever he wants. It's a pathetic system. And if you analyze what I just said to you, really think about it, who and where is all this money, where isn't money, and how can we prove that there's any money there even? Think about it. There's no proof, no way to prove it. And to say that we don't have money, no, when they build the underground cities, I know a person directly, can't say anything about it, directly followed the water line from the water in California to the underground city where it went. So there's things happening way beyond what you want to listen to, understand, or anybody even aware that it's happening. While the world's being torn apart, while the government's sneaking their communities and cities and everything underground, while they're preparing for something bad to happen, where are we? Just the robots, but we're not robots. So let's get rid of them too. We need real robots that don't need food. So we're destroying our own reality by allowing it to happen. Remember, go online, pull up Paul Bunyan's story. Read it. It's a kid's story. Read it. Read what happens in the end of that story. It's what's actually happening to our reality. And that was created when I was a little kid. A simple thing, Paul Bunyan, the story of Paul Bunyan, and what he did and what happened. Real short, he was a tree cutter, and he could chop down trees. And they said, no, we got a railroad that can chop down trees much faster. And they said, okay, whoever wins is the winner and wins how to take down trees. And they went at it. The train wins, not Paul Bunyan. And he walks away with his axe and his little ox. So, it meant a lot because we're creating a system that's way beyond what we are. You think any person on this planet is as smart as any computer right now? Can answer and do and all the things that a computer can do in 5 seconds? So we're destroying ourselves by creating things, but man only worries about the toys he creates. Ships, fast cars, rocket ships, and sports, new technology for sports, and things like that. Not about spiritual things, not about life, birth, teachings of truth, what truth is. All those things are scenarios that have slowly been taken out of our reality. So the word morals, does people have a clue? I'm throwing this all out there because you really need to piece this together before we have an election, before we get a president in, and what's going to happen when they get in. Are they going to talk about any of the things I mentioned? I am telling you they will not. Global warming. Nobody, including Al Gore, who was paid millions of dollars to come up with global warming. All right? He doesn't have a clue how it's really happening. And they don't talk about the real things. They talk about the effects. It's easy to talk about the effect of something happening. A tsunami just hit a city, wiped it out. But why did the tsunami happen? What's causing these giant tsunamis? What's causing earthquakes and tsunamis and everything to be much bigger than they have ever been? Tidal waves to grow in, instead of 100 feet, 150 feet. What's causing it? There's things that cause everything. What's causing the magnetic field? What's causing the ship? All those things. There's things causing it, but nobody talks about that. Because those things are what make those people money. Fracking, CERN, geothermal, the HARP system are what make the money for the world of the idiots. So we're creating the end times for ourselves, and we're allowing it. Now, the last thought before I run out and stop the show, but we have to think about 9/11. How many people right now care about what really happened? Can you name them? Do you know people that what really happened, are walking around even worrying about what really happened? I doubt it. Why not? You were never given the truth. Don't you think you should at least have the truth of that? What caused that problem? So let's get down to it. Okay, 9/11 happened. The patriotic bill was supposed to go through that day. And Mr. Busho came out and said, which eliminated the real patriotic bill and reworded it, the right to create a militia when the government is out of control. Thomas Jefferson created that as a rider bill to the Constitution of the United States. Thomas Jefferson did that. He was a mass Native American killer and all that kind of stuff, but he still wrote that for people in the United States. Now, a militia is actually a terrorist group right now because Bush said, you're either for us or you're a terrorist. Meaning, if you form a group against the government, you're considered a terrorist group. And groups like Greenpeace were considered terrorist groups now. So are you aware how the system changed and what's really going down? I'm sure you're not. And you should be. Or you just want to get pulled into this thing, well, we're going to go, okay, we'll survive. We're all love and light beings. We're becoming 6-dimensional beings and everything's going to be okay. Think you're God and you're God. We've got a lot of God idiots walking around this planet, that's for sure. If somebody really believes they're God or even equal to it in any way, has a clue what that God thinks, please, let's bring them on TV and show them to the world. Let them explain what's going on. where you got so many lies, twisted stories, and the world's crashing. And I don't see any solution. No alien race is going to give us the answers that we need. They're going to make things worse. The technology that the government's getting came from them, but none of it's beneficial. You might say Velcro and things like that, which came out of the first alien spacesuit and things. But what is going to help us? If we can't help ourselves, which we don't even care what's true or what's not, we just want to be happy. Well, you're not going to be happy soon. If the money market in the world crashes, nobody's going to be happy. Nobody's going to be safe. So I hope you got something out of that. Think about what I said. Money's not real. You want to believe it is. You want to put your life and get a good job that pays good money. But you got to get a job for the government to get good money. Their job salaries go up to like $250,000. What's a Burger King person make? At McDonald's. What's a farmer make? I'm not talking corporation farmers. I'm talking about a human family's farm. What do they make in a year? They barely survive. So we're creating a system growing greater than we are, and it's only going to tear us apart. And I don't care who you listen to, what UFO specialist or what alien or what psychic, what they're going to tell you is not telling you we are actually destroying ourselves by being ignorant, not by being God, by being ignorant. Ignorant saying we're God, yes, but we're not. And we never will be. Nobody. Jesus never said he was God. Never, ever said he was God. So the whole concept, well, God, Jesus is God, no, it's not. I heard somebody I did shows with said that Jesus is going to come down and kill Lucifer. Lucifer's not here either. The name that's here is Satan. And people that work with aliens need to know the difference between entities and aliens. And people say interdimensional beings. Well, if they're an interdimensional being, they're an alien? No, they're a demon, an entity. All right. Angels are different than an interdimensional being is. But to be able to tell the difference, can you? If an alien came to you and said they were Gabriel or Michael, how would you know the difference? If they put a little costume on and said, hey, I'm Gabriel, you would believe it. So how do you prove it? Again, what are you asking them? Ask them about God. No being, no alien, no creature can talk about God. Why is that? Because they don't know it. And they don't want to believe in it because then they have something that they might be accountable for. Nobody wants to be accountable for their own actions. Sorry, people. I just finished doing a show. I thought it was going to be a good thing. The show was about me being able to attack anybody that's telling lies. I thought that was great. I did one show. There was an incredible following. I did another show. Somebody famous came on. Laura Eisenhower. It was a really good show. But she wasn't as evil as I thought she would be. She didn't say anything that would really be dangerous to the show. As a matter of fact, she said she could learn a lot from me. I was totally mind-boggled, but it was a great show. So then, this Saturday night, I had Billy Myers on. Well, not Billy Myers directly, his spokesperson for him. And the problem is, there's so many lies that he promotes and swears on everything that they're all real. The facts are there. Everything Billy Myers claims, a lot of it, I'm saying like 75% was faked or taken from something else. Meaning what he did, NASA would do a picture and put it up online. He would take a picture of that in black and white and kind of darken it out a little because he was developing his own pictures. And he would say he shot the picture. He claimed he shot all these pictures in space of our spaceships traveling and everything, our flights and stuff. Oh, really? He was on a UFO during that and filmed that? No, he took the pictures that they put up and just re-showed them. They compared it actual exact. There was no difference in any part of the picture. And all his pictures, not one of them everyone he put out there saying this, that, and the other thing. The same with his UFOs as far as flying around the trees. Imagine a UFO coming down and just doing this over a tree. What benefit is that for anybody? For the aliens, for the person watching them? See, you have to look at, oh, well, it's real. Well, he was dealing with a real cheapy camera at that time frame. And then he made his own fake ship and all these little things that went down. Even his own wife said he's faking stuff. And they show you pictures of his garbage can lid to the spaceship that he made. You could see the handle and the rings on the garbage can that were actually on the ship that he made as well. Come on, please don't tell me that was just a mistake when I made the UFO. We have to look at what people are bringing out. There's no truth out there that we can actually hold and touch for the world to see. And the government is making sure of that. The last words, they are eliminating the population. They believe it needs to be done. And then again, by the time the robots are all finished being made, there'll be very few people needed on this planet. So think about it all. It's a lot to grasp. I know even underground cities were, oh, well, they're real. They are. Jesse Ventura exposed them years ago. The last year he was on, they took it off the air. They couldn't let him expose anymore. He exposed so many things in the 2 years that he was on. In great debt. He said, well, prove it. And he goes, let's prove it the way I am. Where's the facts? And they had his own people digging out the facts, going there. He went into the White House and talked about the person that made the technology of certain things that can destroy the planet. And he said, why would you do that? He goes, well, we didn't know what they were going to use it for.
Yeah, the HARP system.
Exactly. So when people listen, they listen to what they want to hear. And if they don't hear what they want to hear, they turn it into what they want to hear. Otherwise, they don't listen at all. So I know you might not like anything I said tonight. That's your choice today, wherever you are. But please, the facts are there, and we're diving into them. I mean, Tina's great, but she's being affected by radiation. Every couple of weeks, she tells you what's happening to her.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into all the details, but she has so many things going on to her body. And even the actual proof that she had, where they filmed this thing cut out of her stomach, the government won't let her have it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything about it's crazy. But people have to realize when it comes to the truth, the government doesn't allow it out. If you attack the government, then you're even more of a victim. When you attack the weapons that they have, you're a terrorist, period. So with that all, think about it. Think about what you can do in your own life to stay in a space where it's beneficial to you and the world you're living in the moment. All right. It was a pleasure. Everybody that listens to this, please send this to your friends. Thank you, Sasha, for hanging out. It was a pleasure.
Of course.
Anything, any letters, any news, any mail, please send it to hawksblood1@aol.com. I answer all my letters. I don't run from anything. Call me a liar, call me a cheat, call me whatever you want, but I'll answer it back. All right. Peace, love, compassion, whatever you need in your life. Hope you get it. But till next time, Tommy Hawksblood here. And don't forget, if you want my books, hawksblood1@aol.com. I will send you my first 2 books as an ebook if you want. My important book is still in the bookstore, so I got to make a copy of that yet. But till next time, love and light, everybody.